Hello and welcome to this week's Preps Preview alongside Justin Conn. I'm Leroy Bridges. We've got 2 weeks in the books, and as we have the last couple of weeks, we're going to just take a look back at kind of some of the action on Friday and what stood out. Justin, for you, what was it that kind of caught your attention this past week?
Definitely Sangamon Valley. Their win over Petersburg Porta. I think that's the sort of win that this team needed to kind of make that statement that, hey, you know, we're not the team that won one game the last 2 years now. We're a team that can actually make the playoffs. I do believe that, you know, maybe Porter's a little down.
Sure.
They lost to South Fork in week 1, which is a team that actually Nokomis beat. South Fork, then Nokomis turned around and beat them. So, you know, I do think you got to kind of look at that a little bit. But at the same time, I got a good stat for you here.
Okay.
27-0, they outscored Nokomis in the second half. Then they scored the first 38 points of the game against Porta. So that was 65 straight points.
That's good math right there.
65 straight points they scored unanswered during that little stretch there. So that's dominating football.
Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, their backfield is one of the best in the area, I think, with Aaron Bennett and Dan Renshaw, no doubt. For me, it's St. Teresa getting their backfield going. I know they're a team that when they have success, they pound the ball. And the reason they pound the ball is because they dominate the line of scrimmage. They haven't necessarily been able to do that. I know, obviously, week 1, Warrensburg. But we're looking at against the better teams. If they're looking to kind of turn their playoff woes around and not have a early first-round exit, they're going to have to start running the ball. They gained only 93 yards on the ground against TUSCOLA, a team that is, you know, going to be toward the caliber of some of these 3A teams in the postseason. And if they don't do that, they're in trouble. Yeah,
they're a team that has, when they've been at their best, they've dominated the line of scrimmage, and that's something they're going to have to do to make any noise. Go ahead and look at our top 5s now, something we've done here the last couple of weeks. I'll start number 5. My top 5 stays the same, I'm not going to lie to you. I know Leroy thinks
how exciting is that?
Leroy thinks I'm boring, but I'm just trying to make it legitimate and not shake it up just for the sake of shaking it up.
Playing it safe over here.
Number 5 is PANA. They got a really good win over Alton Marquette, who is traditionally a pretty good football program. Sort of the same thing where they just were able to use like 10 different guys.
They find guys off the sidelines.
Yeah, throw them in there. They seem to do the job. So another good win for PANA. They seem to be on a roll and look like they're poised for a really nice year. Number 4, MT.ZION, got back on track with a win. Still a little sloppy. Yeah. I know in the first half of that game, they got it together, and Jacob Smith ran for over 200 yards. And Jack McIntosh also had like I believe 3 or 4 rushing touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. So it seems like they're getting it together pretty well. I didn't move St. T. Number 3 is still St. Teresa. I mean, TUSCOLA, we've pretty much established is the best team in this area. Yeah. You know, you can look at it, a 1A team beat a 3A team, but TUSCOLA is not your ordinary 1A team. So I don't penalize St. T too much for that loss. But, you know, like you said, they're going to have to get it together on the line of scrimmage a little bit. Number 2, MAROA-FORSYTH, who I think has been really impressive so far. I think, before the season, I thought, you know, there's some question marks there, but I don't have any now. I think
been answered, huh?
Yeah, I think they're ready to go for a real big year. And number 1 is TUSCOLA again. You know, I think they, you know, when you go against a team like St. T in a good defense like that, I think that, you know, you're going to have a challenge to score. It's not going to be easy. And you know, their defense though was unstoppable. Had some great special teams, I know, and so. You know, they did what they had to do to win, and that's what good teams do. So they deserve, I think, no doubt they deserve the number 1 here and the number 1 in the state they're getting.
I've got the Storm, who you talked about, debuting in my poll. Number 5 slot might be a rotating door for me throughout the year. Maybe to get, you know, liven things up, unlike you, but where you've got PANA just kind of holding it down.
Well, the Storm, you know, you're going to have trouble getting them out of there because they have a couple wins coming up here, it looks like. So you're going to have trouble getting them off your top 5.
I know. They might be holding that spot down. Monticello bumped out. Probably won't see it again for the rest of the year, but you had to give Sages a little love, I guess. St. T in at 4. I dropped them below MT.ZION. Just kind of shuffled those teams around a little bit. So the Braves coming in at number 3. And you know what? At this point, MAROA-FORSYTH, if it wasn't for arguably one of the best teams in the first 3 classes in TUSCOLA, you know, they would be the best team in the area. They've looked really sharp, but you can't bump the Warriors out of that number 1 spot. I mean, you can't do it. And they play week 7. So we have quite a while to wait here. And I know there are some games in between now and then that could move things around, but can't move the Trojans from number 2, and you got to keep TUSCOLA at 1. As we move forward out of the top 5s, coming up this week. Not a great slate of games. It seems like the odd weeks are kind of the down weeks, and the even weeks, weeks 2 and 4 are the better. We're in week 3. What are you looking forward to this week?
I think in the LOVC, this conference play starts in the Little Ocala this week, and you have the kind of the classic matchup of Arcola at Cerro Gordo. Right now, I think these are two teams that they struggled last year. Neither made the playoffs. Arcola, both are under new coaches. Arcola with Gerald Temples and Cerro Gordo with Andy Curley. Arcola does have a win. They beat Danville Schlarman last week for their 650th win all time. So
and a pretty good win for them.
Yeah, Schlarman's normally a pretty good team, and that conference is really giving the LOVC some trouble. So they're one of the few teams that actually has got a win out of the Vermilion Valley. So a little momentum there. Both these teams need some momentum to in the conference going forward. Yeah. I mean, Cerro Gordo loses here. That's 3 losses, and you're looking at really having to play some unbelievable football in a pretty tight LOVC to make the playoffs.
And kind of wide open. I mean, there are some teams just bunched up in there, and gonna have to make some noise in their home conference opener. I'm looking at MacArthur traveling to Mattoon. Not a great game on paper, but the Generals have to get a W to get some things going. I mean, both our city teams are kind of in a world of hurt right now. We thought maybe one of them would be in the running for the playoffs, and if MacArthur can't get it done on the road this week, their playoffs are going to be a thing of the past. Mattoon did beat Eisenhower, and I don't know. I've heard some positive things about the Green Wave, and they're starting to kind of turn that program around a little bit, and it's kind of the opposite from MacArthur. They're trying to recover after losing some big-time seniors. So, it's a tough test, a gut check time for Coach Spates' group, and we'll see what happens out there.
And if Mattoon wins, also they have 2 wins, and we're talking about them being
and that's
the kind of surprise
crazy.
team. Yeah,
definitely.
It is.
Well, make sure you check out hrpreps.com. We'll get full coverage of the weekend's action, and make sure you do the pick'em. I know we've had some tight weeks this past week. Quite a few people went perfect. So make sure you get online and check that stuff out.
Yeah, thanks. See you out there.